All right, good morning, everyone. It is about 47 minutes after the hour on this finally Friday. Hope you guys are doing well. Had a good week. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk. Small snow talk, kind of thrown in the middle there. Quite small. But the Storm Talk side is what everyone's been talking about, of course, all week, and that's still evolving. Some of the latest data improved somewhat of the narrative or the thinking of how things are looking for early next week, but still the finer details are going to take until about Sunday to really resolve. So it's going to take some time to get into some of the higher res data into this, but still the overall picture is the same. All we're doing is making sure you guys just keep an eye on the forecast early next week, and let's hope that we trend in a better direction that it looked like certainly early in the week. I'll explain coming up in just a second. As always, you guys can comment on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. I see your comments now. Hello. Bonjour to Dimitri. Hope you're doing well. Hello to Karen. Let's see your socks. No, you saw my post, Karen. Nope, you not doing that. That's a trap. Let's see. Glad the fog is lifted, Angie said, because it's really thick out there this morning. You're right. I'll show you the camera view in just a second. In fact, let's go ahead and get into that. We did the dense fog advisory was out this morning. That has been lifted. This is what it looks like at Huber's Orchard and Winery. Not bad. Pretty shot, right? But this is what it looks like in E-Town. So still, those of you in central Kentucky dealing with quite a bit of fog here for this mid-morning period, just because of the wet ground that we had and clearing sky that led to the low visibility. You see E-Town coming in at a quarter mile. Actually, Louisville International, all the International got down to less than a mile, about 3/4 of a mile, which is fairly low for them to get down to this morning. And then Bowmanfield was sitting at about a half a mile much of the morning as well. For officially now, it's all the 10, by the way, is the goal. 10 is perfect. So some spots are getting there, including off to the east. Still use some caution, though, if you're traveling. That mix of bright sun into the fog bank makes it hard to travel. Saw a lot of folks this morning sitting at intersections with their hand up, trying to look and see what was coming down the road because they couldn't see very well because, again, it scatters the light. And I still think issues like this lead to more travel issues and traffic accidents because of that. But that's improving. That's good news. All right, so let's move on to the visible satellite, which shows the fog bank in the area. Again, that's lifting. We're going to have a decent amount of sun today. Actually, today will not be a bad day at all. We'll get close to 60 for a high. The storm system came through yesterday, but the rain, the soaking rain, is now to the east. Now we wait and see what happens with the mini snow talk for tomorrow morning. And that's a clipper that's right here that is going to be diving straight down through Indiana, Ohio, and East Kentucky. It has trended a little more to the east than west. And when it comes to a clipper, your best potential usually on snowfall with that is going to be on its north or northeast side, not exactly the northwest side. Not the good place to be for a clipper if you want snow. And majority of you watching will be indeed on the western side of this. So it's certainly a little more, and it's not a big system at all by any account. But certainly for those of you that have friends or family in Cincinnati or in Lexington, may have something a little more exciting to talk about for a few hours tomorrow morning. I think the bigger story with this clipper as it dives down is just how cold it is going to get it on your Saturday. Temperatures are really going to struggle tomorrow. So tomorrow's one of those days, if you want to still light up the fireplace another time and enjoy hanging out inside, doing some chores, tomorrow's likely going to be your day. So the clipper moves in a little later too than what was indicated yesterday. You see how it drops in, you almost see the curl to it where the center would be about here. And there's your curl wrapping around as it digs in across eastern Kentucky. Still brings a swath of snow into the 71 corridor, Louisville, I-65, right there on the edge. But with it being a little later, now we're losing one of the two things that we're going for it, and that is timing. With it being more nocturnal on earlier timing, we would have a better opportunity for this to have more of a kick and have a chance to stick because the ground temps are already working against it, right? Well, now that it's moving in roughly mid-morning on Saturday, now we're not dealing with as much of a colder profile as you would in the middle of the night. So that works against us. Now, what is interesting about the timing being delayed is that the coldest part of your Saturday is not going to be at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., maybe not even at 9 a.m. It may not happen until 11 a.m. That will be the coldest on Saturday, will be in the morning hours as it passes by. So you may wake up and the temperature may be 37, 38 outside, but by 10 or 11 o'clock, you may be down to about 33, 34 out your window there. So a cold late morning, especially in midday. Whether or not we can bounce back up to around 40 will depend on how fast this little booger can move. If we can get out here fast enough, then we can get back to some sun. It would make a difference on getting above 40. That's the only thing the sun will do. If the sun cannot make it back out in time, we are not getting to 40 at all. We'll stay in the 30s with wind chills in the 20s all day. Yeah, so again, good reminder that it is officially still winter. Not much on the snow side to get excited about. Can't roll out a quick little dusting for the deck or the roof or even the car as it scoots by areas east. They have the better little kick to it. But for a lot of you watching, unfortunately, a lot of that will melt on contact. And if you're west of 65, you likely won't even see a flake. So location matters on this one. So it moves on by, and then we get into the weekend, the rest of the weekend, which we do bounce back on Sunday. The only thing that bothers me on Sunday right now is, yes, it'll be a warmer day, but the caveat here is there's a batch of clouds that move in, and just about every model's got this, but they vary on the timing when that batch of clouds moves in Sunday afternoon. That will make a difference on whether or not we get to about 59 to 63 for high on Sunday, or we stay in the low to mid 50s on Sunday. The timing of that clouds is key. And I was just looking over some most recent data coming in, and it's still varying a good 4 hours back and forth. And that may make a difference. So just kind of a heads up. If it ends up being a little cloudier for a few hours on Sunday and you're in the 50s, don't think anything's off track. It's fully expected, but that batch of clouds is key. If it holds off long enough or moves in and gets out of here quick enough, then I think it'll be a very nice looking setup for the latter half of the weekend. All right, I don't want to talk too much about that. I just wanted to get into the entire weekend outlook. All right, is everyone good up to that point? Everyone good? Type 4-3. Type 4-3 if you're good. If you're good to that point. Eugene, tomorrow sounds like another dreary, overcast day. Yeah, it won't be a pretty day, Eugene, as we get into tomorrow. Adam. What was that, Adam? Good morning, Sunny Bloomington. You're a hard guy to catch lately. Notifications are wonky. They are wonky. Yesterday was weird. I can't show you all the system from my angle, but it's a system that notifies all of you all at once, basically, on social media and on the different platforms. Sometimes I even won't get the notification that I'm about to be live, or any of us are going to be live. And then sometimes I don't. It is very hit or miss. That's out of our control. Unfortunately, that's just the different social media companies have different notifications and algorithms they go by. So I apologize for that. The app is the one thing that always hits every time. So that is always your best option to know when I'm on or anybody's on is going to be the app. And if you want to chat, then at that point, you can go to social media to then have a chance to comment. Sorry, didn't mean to get all long-winded there. Just want to explain that because, Adam, you brought up a good point. I see a lot of 43s. Everyone's good. So now what about next week? Mark, I saw your comment about that. So, okay, let me show you the overall theme and what we're looking at. This is getting into the nerdy stuff here, but it is some of the data we have to pour over to try to gauge how to handle early next week. This is the upper atmosphere chart you're looking at. And wave country is right over into here. This is wave country. And what you're looking at are really two different pieces of the jet here. This is the Euro that you're looking at that is showing the northern piece. Easy to pick out that little wave in the dip, right? But also keep an eye on the Baja Peninsula. There was a cutoff low that is also just kind of lingering there into the Baja Peninsula. The problem that we've had most of the week in the modeling, and it affects timing, which timing, as we've mentioned, timing is crucial on the severity part of this whole thing. But when you have a low that stays back here into the southwest or in general into the Baja Peninsula, your northern branch then becomes the main one, and it will move fast. It will still have a severe threat with it. Absolutely. That is still quite the kick on the wind field with it. The moisture return is the only thing that's a little odd in this kind of a setup with the northern branch. You don't get a completely strong south wind surge of a lot of moisture to lead to a massive severe weather event, all right, which is good. If this piece were to actually phase into this northern jet, you would get a much larger trough or a dig here in the nation's heartland. That would allow for a lot more moisture to get pulled in. Therefore, your severe limit also would be begin to increase, or your risk would, and the timing would slow down. So these features do matter. And unfortunately, we can only go by modeling right now. But all I can tell you is even if this were to hold back, just even the northern piece alone is going to kick up some active weather into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley and the Deep South as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. This is the Euro. Now let me show you the GFS. And notice the GFS doesn't really have. Now, this was the run that came out last night at about 9 o'clock. So it doesn't really have the Baja low. In fact, it pulls it in. It does have it. It just pulls it right in. You almost see the split that's happening right here. That's the Baja Peninsula portion being absorbed into it. And there's your trough. You see the wind fields are stronger. A lot of that yellow indicated there. So very sharp dig, and it's a little slower. The difference there is the Euro likes Tuesday night. The GFS likes Wednesday night. Nearly a 24-hour difference. Well, that was until this morning when the new run of the GFS came in. And now this is what it looks like for the early morning run. And it may not look totally different to you, but it is. It has the low back further to the west, does not fully absorb it. And then therefore, it's back to the faster idea, which now the Euro has a friend on that idea. Will the GFS hold on this? I don't know. It starts running its new outlook in about 30 minutes from now. So I will be looking over that as we evolve through the midday show today, and we'll just see how it goes. It's still too, I mean, we've got so many model runs for a day that come out regarding this setup just on the GFS, and for the Euro as well will be kicking in. So that's a lot of model runs. There's probably a lot of little shifting because really when you're trying to focus in on what will happen with that little low in the Southwest, small little differences, as you just saw there, can lead to a 24-hour difference in timing. And therefore, it changes the severe, not entirely the parameters, but really the location and timing of the severe is crucial on that. Let me show you a different way. This is, let me bring this full screen. This is looking at the AI, the Colorado State learning machine for severe weather on the left. On the right is the Storm Prediction Center, which is done by man, who's drawing that. All right, you see there on Colorado State, it's got the red showing up. Your severe weather maxed out into Illinois. That's that black dot you see in Illinois. And it does carry it over to about the Ohio River, and then it fades to a lower category. You see the Storm Prediction Center does have the outlook for severe roughly in the red zone, I would say, of CSU, maybe a little bit of the yellow, but they're not too far off. They're really not. But then you get into Wednesday, and this is where it's changed. Remember, the top frame here, this is what Wednesday did look like. Now we're into the lower end category for the Ohio Valley. Storm Prediction Center did shift it, or at least trim the northern part, the Indiana portion of the outlook off the map. So Indiana, you were taking out, Kentucky and point south left in. But the issue I think is developing here with this, and I'll show you an hour by hour kind of frame, is that if we end up with that northern piece that is going to become the dominant one and is indeed going to be faster, then this may very well be a late Tuesday night scenario. That's very common for us to get severe weather breaking out into Paducah, West Kentucky, Illinois, and then we get the leftovers or the weakening phase of that during the overnight. Right now, that is leading the way for the most likely scenario. You can still get warnings out of that only because of momentum. The line will be moving so fast with severe weather that you won't have as much fuel. So there will be a natural weakening trend, but especially west of 65, you can still get warnings that will keep going. What will likely change here today is whether or not we see that if this northern feature can get a little more established and that low does hold back into the Baja Peninsula in California, this could easily speed up into a Tuesday afternoon scenario. And we're going to be in the 70s on Tuesday. So we would end up seeing everything you see there on the charts for severe weather on Tuesday would be shifted just a hair more to the east. And therefore, our alert day would also have to shift more into Tuesday instead of Wednesday. Wednesday would be the cooling day behind the system. we're not ready to make that move yet. We don't want to knee jerk on every single model run. As I said, there's 4 a day happening on each model type right now. So we don't want to put you guys back and forth on the emotional roller coaster ride this thing can be. But I want you guys to be aware that still looking at this on paper, it's still going to be quite the system. It's going to have some severe weather with it. I think that's likely. Whether or not it's a big system or an outbreak, my gut feeling on that right now, I don't see anything that shows anything off the charts on that. All right. I think it's going to be a typical late winter, early spring type of setup with severe weather and heavy rain that'll move through and a lot of wind. My take on the whole thing, though, is it only takes one storm to make things rough. So we never want to let our guard down. And again, high res data has a limit to how far it can see, and we're not in that window yet. We will be this weekend. Once we can see those finer details, all the finer answers that I can try to give to you guys that you want to know, I understand, will be on wind speeds, any tornado threat, hail threat, all the different parameters. We can't get into that yet. We're just looking big picture here. And I hope that all made sense. So let me try to show you what that looks like on more of a weather map form here. There's that low in Baja, and there's the one in the northwest. Now, you see what happens as we get into Tuesday evening. You see the red indicating your fuel, your severe, again, likely breaking out to our west, northwest, and even southwest. But it really begins to fade out. We get into the wee hours of your Wednesday morning, heavy rain, lightning, thunder, and wind, and then we just dry out after that and chill out as we head into Wednesday, only to see, by the way, the Baja low does eventually come into play. If it were to lean back and just chill out for a couple of days, it will eventually move our way, and that would be near a week from today. And that would mean a whole other slew of issues when it comes to rain that we may have to face, maybe some thunderstorms too with that. So the Baja low is going to be a sneaky little feature. So either it's going to come visit us next week early, or it's going to come later in the week. One of the two options are on the table here. We just know which one it will be. All right. Does that make sense? Scott, technology exploded in the past 20 years, but forecasting is not as good as the 1970s and 80s. Seems forecasting 12 hours out is hard. In the 80s, Buzz could sit and rain in 4 days, and it would, in my opinion. My use is 2 cents, but I appreciate y'all. Well, thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Yes and no on that, Scott. You got to keep in mind, I grew up here. I've been coming to WAVE since I was 12 years old. Belsky was my mentor. I know Tom Wills. I've studied with them. I totally understand what we're talking about. The difference is that the extended outlook in the 80s and really to just the very beginning of the 90s was a 3-day outlook. There was no 5-day. 5-day outlooks were new in the 90s that came out. Then they increased to 7 days, and now we do 10. We actually go out to a year if we wanted to from the Climate Prediction Center. We have a lot of modeling that's out. Forecasting actually has gotten better. The problem now is there's a lot of noise that is out there. There's so many different model runs. There's so many different ways you can get weather information. It's everywhere on social media and so many different platforms. It's in your face constantly, when before you would only hear about it if you caught the news that evening. If you missed the newscast, you probably wouldn't know about it until it was within about 24 hours of hitting. Otherwise, you're hearing about systems that are far out. You get a lot of data on it. But when we look at it, we're like, well, do we really want to talk about a storm that is 7 days out? Personally, as meteorologists, we're like, oh, let's wait. Let's try to do, a gradual approach to it all. What has changed is actually the viewer, you guys. Majority of the viewers, I'm telling you, it's overwhelming, want to know if there will be a chance, even if there's a chance of severe weather down the road, even if it does not happen or not, even if that potential is there, you guys want to know. So we're actually listening to you all when we're doing this and trying to make sure we're giving you what you guys want. We're trying to make everyone obviously is happy. We can't do that in every case. But we also are not going to just let the model throw out the forecast. We're going to give you the forecast, but give you our thoughts on it, our analysis, what we're thinking of how this is going to play out. So that's why on the blog here, I can go into a lot more detail. On a TV weathercast that you're back to see in about an hour on midday, I can't go into a lot of detail. I just did. All I'll be able to say basically for Tuesday to Wednesday is a period of rain and thunder and some gusty winds. Stay tuned. We'll keep an eye on it. That's all the time I get. So on here, though, I have a chance to really go into a lot of details on this whole specifics. Danny, not to go off subject, was John Besky the first Smith to do a 10-day? He actually did a 14-day. I don't know if he was the first, but he was up there. Weren't able to do specifics. You can only do general, rain or not, and a general idea on temperature. You couldn't get specific. You can do that now. But yeah, he led the way on doing the 14-day. And I love that. As a kid, I was excited, only because I just wanted to see a snow icon in every one of those 14 days. Never really happened. But I love his passion for snow. And actually, Tom Wells is a big snow fan. I know he gets picked on for that, but he actually is a very big snow lover. He really is. Very intelligent guy. Both of them are. All right. So let's see. Angie, I love the blog on the guys, the info you guys. I've had too many close calls with severe weather. Yeah. And again, I know there is some talk that could be out there about, this is going to be a massive storm. This is going to cause destruction. This is going to be a tornado outbreak. That I would be leery of. Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know where that data would even come from right now, unless it's your own personal analysis of what it'll be. And that's fair. I mean, if that's what you want to go with, I don't feel comfortable, and I don't think anyone on this team does feel comfortable in ever seeing something like that. But we can tell you that this is a setup that when you have this much of a wind field, this much moisture involved, and timing in the afternoon, you're going to get a wave of thunderstorms to move through. Sometimes we get lucky, and it's just a wave of thunderstorms, and we're fine. And sometimes it gets a little more rocky. I'm hoping over the weekend that we're able to take out the alert day altogether, and that would be great news to share with you guys on the weekend and early next week. I would love that. Absolutely. I do not want severe weather. I hate severe weather, but the passion. I love snow. You guys know that. So less dramatic, in my opinion. Julie, Brian, you're saying it's true about the forecast. And sorry for you, meteorologist. I know that conspiracy info is everywhere. Yeah, I appreciate you, Julie, for the comment. Yeah, I'm used to it. I'm fairly old. At least old now. So I've been through this many, many times. All of us have, and I totally understand it. It's a lot of immediate reaction. That's what the industry is now. It's immediate reaction on social media. So that's fine. I don't care. As long as I do what I have to do and we try to keep everyone safe, that's all that matters. That's what helps me go to bed at night. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. You're good? Angela, anxiety peaks. I only trust. Thanks, Ashley. Appreciate that. Ashley, we're always thinking about you in severe weather. We're going to keep an eye on you. Don't worry. All right, guys, enjoy today. It's going to be really nice out. All right, so focus on that. Stay inside. Enjoy the cloudy snow flurry action that some of you will see tomorrow. And we'll do the worrying for you guys about tomorrow, okay? Or about next week there. All right, I'll see you on midday.